Good afternoon everyone. Welcome to the today's episode of Daily News Analysis of NEXT IAS. Today is the 21st July 2025. So let's venture into the important topics of the day. First is Army's Artificial Intelligence Roadmap for the operations to be readied by 2026-27 in the context of Operation Sindoor. Second is development of new malaria vaccine by the ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, important from prelims as well as GS3, achievements of the Indians in science and technology perspective. Third is India-Nepal Relations, important from GS2, India and its neighborhood relations. Fourth is anti-pollution devices in coal plant, important from GS3, environmental conservation perspective. And the last one is soil of the nation. This particular article discusses the significance of the soil health for the agricultural production, productivity as well as the nutritional security of the India. So let's start. Army's AI roadmap for operations by 2026-27. So what is the backdrop? Launch of AI roadmaps by Army in terms of drone swarming to the smarter war rooms to be raided by the 2026-27. So let's go into the detail of this news. Basically, Indian Army has formulated a comprehensive roadmap to deploy the artificial intelligence, machine learning and big data analytics by 26-27, focusing on the areas such as coordinated drone operations, that is drone swarming, real-time battlefield surveillance, combat simulations for training and information warfare, data-driven decision making. So roadmap sets specific tactical, operational and strategic goals to be made by 26-27. So let's start. Basically, Indian Army in the context of Operation Sindoor and its learnings thereafter have prepared a detailed roadmap for integration of artificial intelligence, machine learning and big data analytics into the army operations by 2026-27. So what are the areas that are supposed to be worked upon in this particular artificial intelligence led technologies? First is coordinated drone operations. As we have observed in case of Operation Sindoor, Pakistan have extensively used drone swarms to attack Indian targets, civilian as well as the military. So in the context of that, Indian Army has started to work upon drone swarming and its integration of AI into its operation. Second, real-time battlefield surveillance. Next is combat simulations for training, information warfare in the context of information disinformation campaign being run by the Pakistan and its media, and data-driven decision making to make it more effective. So this is the context of the news. So let's go into the detail. What are the key highlights of the AI roadmap? Basically, the Army is going to apply or utilize the AI tools for following purposes. Text summarizers to be built upon the large language models to scan and condense long reports. So basically, Army eventually keeps on preparing the various reports or various procurements which contains reports containing thousands of pages. So Army is going to use text summarizers based on the large language models to scan the long reports. Then AI powered chatbots. Next is voice to text systems, facial recognition and tools that can detect unusual patterns or threats which can be utilized for assessment of the upcoming threats. So these are the areas in which we are going to use the AI tools. So what are the actual use of AI, artificial intelligence in during the warfare? The first is analyzing the feeds from drones, satellites, aircraft, ground sensors and fuse this data in real time to support the faster and more informed decision making. So basically, what is the actual purpose of AI in case of drones? Basically, analyzing the feeds from drones in satellites, aircraft and ground sensors and to integrate this data in real time basis to support more informed decision making during the wartime or operations times. Decision support system where artificial intelligence can generate counter intelligence, enhance surveillance, manage logistics and supply chains. So basically, Army will utilize AI in decision support system where AI can generate counter intelligence, enhance surveillance capabilities of the Army and manage logistics or to effectively manage logistics and supply chains that are essential for continuous maintenance of the army operations, then analyzing open source intelligence and social media, as well as mapping the adversaries' capabilities in terms of actual warfare strength as well as the information campaign they have been running. Then running of war gaming simulations to be importantly used in the training of the personnel, and better positioning and targeting of equipment and predictive maintenance. Basically, artificial intelligence will also used in better positioning and targeting of the equipment so that their lethality to the adversary can be enhanced, as well as the predictive maintenance means analyzing the capabilities of the machines, their vulnerabilities with reference to the different temperature variations as well as the harsh environmental conditions. So, predictive maintenance is the area in which the capabilities of the machine were functional efficiency of the machines to be analyzed. AI based navigation in environments where GPS access is denied. Basically, this can be utilized in areas where there is a forest or where large remote areas where GPS is not working properly. In case of left wing extremism areas of central India like Sukma or Bastar, this can be utilized. So, let us go into the modernization. What will be utilization of the artificial intelligence in case of modernization? Basically, artificial intelligence features to be embedded in general staff qualitative requirement, the technical specification for all new equipment being procured. Basically, this in case of modernization drive by the army, this artificial intelligence features will be embedded in general staff qualitative requirements, that is technical specification for all new equipment that are going to be procured, so that the army personnel should be well versed with the evolving AI abilities or capabilities. Also, army plans to retrofit its legacy systems with select AI capabilities, so that whatever the retrofit machines or weapons we have, they need to be attached with artificial intelligence so that it can be used for longer time and in more effective manner. So, what is the implementation mechanism or implementation apparatus that has been designed for integration of this AI artificial intelligence in the modern operation? Basically, there is a establishment of the AI task force under the Director General of Information Systems in Army with representatives from all the army directorates. It will be set up to oversee the implementation of NEXT technologies across the force. So, this AI task force has already been established under the Director General of Information Services, in which there will be representatives from all the army directorates which will oversee the implementation of the NEXT as well as the artificial intelligence in the force. So, what are the areas that are going to be included in this? Basically, this will include areas such as training and capacity building of the personnels, data sharing, maintenance and support, integration and promoting research and development, incorporating these technologies into procurement processes. So, these are the areas in which artificial intelligence task force will see the integration of AI in army. So, also an artificial intelligence lab is also likely to be set up under the Director General of Information System to develop and test models, which will also be integrated with AI applications being developed by Navy and Air Force. So, at the same time, our Indian Army is also envisaging the collaboration with industry and academia to advance the research in this artificial intelligence. So, these are the nitty-gritties of the implementation of the AI, integration of the AI, artificial intelligence in the army operations. So, this is the practice question. Recently, the Indian Army has launched a roadmap for deploying artificial intelligence by 2026-27. In this context, discuss the strategic and operational implications of integrating AI in defense preparedness. So, let us go into the next topic of the day, that is Indian Council of Medical Research has developed new malaria vaccine. This particular topic is important from GS2, issues related to social sector including the health, as well as GS3, achievements of the Indians in science and technology. Let us go into the detail. Basically, Indian Council of Medical Research has invited Indian vaccine manufacturers to collaborate in launching and selling its newly developed malaria vaccine. So, this particular malaria vaccine has been developed by Indian Council of Medical Research, Regional Medical Research Center in Bhubaneswar. So, let us go into the detail of this particular vaccine. This vaccine name is Ad-Falsivax vaccine. This is a recombinant DNA vaccine, recombinant vaccine. So, what do we mean by the recombinant vaccine? Basically, this is a type of vaccine produced using recombinant DNA technology. So, what is recombinant DNA technology? In this particular recombinant DNA technology, their gene from the pathogen is inserted into the host cell like yeast or bacteria, and then this particular gene expresses itself in the protein encoded by that gene. This expressed protein then or antigen is then used as an active component of the vaccine. So, this is the functioning mechanism of this recombinant DNA mechanism vaccine. This approach allows for production of specific antigens without need of handling the whole pathogen, thus offers advantage in terms of safety as well as the purity and potentness of the vaccine. So, this is the important basics about the Ad-Falsivax vaccine that has been developed by the ICMR. So, now let us go into certain basics, that is the types of vaccine. So, the first important type is live attenuated vaccines, live attenuated vaccine. So, what is the mechanism, functioning mechanism? Basically, it contains weakened forms of live viruses, and these particular live viruses closely mimic the natural infections, thus provide strong immunity to the person who takes that particular vaccine. So, this is the live attenuated vaccine. What are the examples? Chickenpox vaccine or nasal flu spray, that is flu mist. Second is toxoid vaccines. So, what is the importance or significance of toxoid vaccines? They use inactivated bacterial toxins or toxoids. Inactivated, please note, inactivated bacterial toxins to trigger the immunity without causing that particular disease. So, what are the examples? The DTaP or Tdap vaccines, diphtheria and tetanus components vaccine. Then third part is inactivated vaccines. So, basically this inactivated vaccine contains killed viruses which can't cause disease. They cannot cause disease, but still induce immune response in the host, that is the person who takes that particular vaccine. Example, hepatitis A influenza injection, that is polio virus, most important, polio vaccine. Next is subunit vaccine. Basically, subunit vaccine use only essential parts of the antigens of the pathogen, thus reduces the likely side effects of the vaccine or risk associated with the vaccine. So, this particular subunit vaccine uses only the essential part of antigens of the pathogen. What are the example? Pertussis component of the diphtheria, pertussis vaccine. Now, next is the conjugate vaccine. So, this is a subtype of a subunit vaccine, subtype of the subunit vaccines combining bacterial sugar coatings, that is polysaccharides, with carrier proteins for a stronger immune response. It causes a stronger immune response. Example is hepatitis B and hepatitis V virus vaccine. There was a question in 2021 prelims with respect to the functioning mechanism of the conjugate vaccines. So, let us go back into the Ad-Falsivax vaccine. So, what is the functioning mechanism of this particular Ad-Falsivax vaccine? The vaccine includes genetic material targeting two main components. The first is full length CSP, that is circumsporozoite protein on the parasite surface, more comprehensive than existing vaccines using only the part of vaccine. So, why this particular Ad-Falsivax vaccine is more potent or more effective than the existing vaccines that are currently in market? This particular vaccine utilizes full length CSP, that is circumsporozoite protein on the parasite surface, malaria parasite surface, thus become more comprehensive than existing vaccines using only the parts of vaccine, parts of the protein. Second, it is the combination of two other proteins that impact the malaria's parasite cycle. Also, this particular vaccine interferes with the malaria parasite's life cycle, making it more potent. So, it used DNA for the whole CSP protein instead of just few parts, meaning it is likely to produce stronger immune response. So, why it is more effective? Because it produces more strong immune response. And why it produces more strong immune response? Because it uses the entire DNA or DNA for the whole CSP protein instead of just few parts of the protein, thus making it more potent. Okay. The other target that is used to prevent the development of Plasmodium falciparum in the mosquito's midgut during its life cycle. Basically, this particular vaccine prevents the development of Plasmodium falciparum in mosquito's midgut, thus interferes with the very life cycle of the parasite, disrupting its life cycle. Basically, it prevents the infection not only in vaccinated person, thus it prevents infection not only in vaccinated person, but stops the further spread of the disease by disrupting the life cycle of pathogen even when it has been picked up by the mosquito from an infected person for further transmission. So, basically the person who takes this particular vaccine, he becomes immune to the malaria disease, but at the same time it also stops the further spread because it disrupts the very functioning or very life cycle of the parasite in which it is being injected. So, these are the important significance or features of the this Ad-Falcivax vaccine. So, what is the development status, present development status of this particular vaccine? The preclinical trials or studies have shown positive results. Now, ICMR is seeking to develop it further with the help of partner company for further development, also conducting the human clinical trials and scaling up the commercial production on large basis. What are the institutions that were involved in the development of this vaccine? First is ICMR, National Institute of Medical Research and National Institute of Immunology, apart from the Regional Medical Center of ICMR in Bhubaneswar. So, let us go into certain basics of the malaria and its causative parasites. Basically, malaria is a potentially fatal illness caused by Plasmodium parasites in India, Indian subcontinent, also in Africa. It is transmitted by the bites of infected female Anopheles mosquitoes. So, what is the name of this mosquito? Female Anopheles mosquitoes that are responsible for the spread of malaria. Disease is not contagious. This particular malaria disease is not contagious, but at the same time it can spread through infected blood or contaminated needles. Again, this particular most common parasite globally in case of malaria is Plasmodium falciparum, and current vaccines that are there in the market primarily target this particular Plasmodium falciparum. But at the same time, other human infecting Plasmodium species of parasite include Plasmodium vivax, which is very common in India, Plasmodium malariae, then Plasmodium ovale and Plasmodium knowlesi. So, these are the other subspecies or species of the Plasmodium parasite. Please remember these names. But at the same time, we must remember that this Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium ovale and Plasmodium knowlesi, these are the Plasmodium parasites which cause fewer infection, and these two, Plasmodium falciparum and vivax, are the most dangerous species that are responsible for most of the infections caused by these parasites. So, this is the malaria transmission cycle. The first stage is this particular Anopheles mosquito gets infected by the Plasmodium parasite. Second, then this particular mosquito bites the person and infects him, then it infects the liver cells of the person, causing infection to the red blood cells, RBCs of the person. Again, when some other mosquito bites that particular person, he gets infected, and then next when that particular infected mosquito will bite to some other healthy person, he will also get infected. So, this is the cycle of malaria's transmission. Now, what are the symptoms, disease symptoms and risk associated with malaria? Basically, these symptoms of malaria, prominent symptoms of malaria occur 10 to 15 days after the infection of malaria. And what are the prominent symptoms? Fever, chills, headache. These are the three important symptoms associated with malaria. In severe cases, it can cause seizures, breathing difficulty, jaundice and dark urine and even death when platelets go below certain limits. Then in case of endemic areas, partial immunity may develop in the affected population, thus it complicates the diagnosis of the malaria. So, what are the prevention measures for this malaria? First is controlling the transmission of vector. How we can do this? First is use of mosquito nets to prevent the bites, then use of insect repellents like DEET or IR3535, icaridine, then use of long clothings to prevent the bite of the mosquitoes, then insecticide spray in the particular home or in area where there is a more susceptibility of bites. Then what is the chemotherapy or chemoprophylaxis? Use of drugs to prevent the disease is recommended for the travelers who are likely to visit the high risk areas of the malaria. Now, let us go into the diagnosis as well as the treatment part of the malaria. So, early diagnosis is essential using microscopy or rapid diagnostic tests that are available in the market. So, what are the treatment options? First is artemisinin based combination therapy. These are the artemisinin based combination therapies for Plasmodium falciparum. Chloroquine is used for Plasmodium vivax. It is very effective in case of Plasmodium vivax infection. Primaquine is used to prevent the relapse of the Plasmodium vivax as well as the Plasmodium ovale infection, and injectable drugs are also required in severe and hospitalized cases. So, this is the treatment options available. Now, let us go into the practice question of this particular topic. With reference to the ad falcivax recently developed by ICMR, consider the following statements. Please solve this MCQ. Now, let us go into the third topic of the day, that is India-Nepal relation. What is the backdrop? Basically, the Nepal Prime Minister PM Oli will visit India in September. This has been confirmed by the Nepal, but exact date has not been announced yet. Important from the topic relevance is GS2 India and its neighborhood relations. So, what is the let us go into the detail of the news. Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli is scheduled to make an official visit to the India in mid-September. Although the date has not been confirmed, Nepal Foreign Ministry has confirmed that the preparation for the visits are already underway, though the exact dates and itinerary has not yet finalized. Sources from the Prime Minister office suggest that the visit will begin on September 16 and likely to be the short only 2-day trip. So, he assumed this particular KP Sharma Oli, Nepal Prime Minister, has assumed office as a Prime Minister on last year July in 2024. So, since the advent of Prime Minister Oli as a Prime Minister, there has been a shift in the foreign policy stance by the Nepal. How it can be observed that Mr. Oli had chosen China as the first foreign visit destination instead of India. Basically, it has been tradition that Nepal Prime Minister, any Nepalese newly elected Prime Minister will visit India as a first country, being the closest neighbor. But Oli has shifted from this stance and decided to visit China first instead of India. His China visit took place in December 2024, where he met Chinese Premier Li Qiang and President Xi Jinping of the China. So, this visit to China has indicated the shift in the foreign policy stance by the Nepal. So, what are the current status of the India-Nepal relation? Basically, India and Nepal relations are very close, deep and historically rooted, but at the same time, as per the media speculations in the Nepal, there has been a strained relations between India and Nepal due to the fact that there was no official invitation extended by the New Delhi to the KP Sharma Oli. But at the same time, Mr. Oli's office has refuted these claims, stating that he will be visiting India and preparation are ongoing on both sides, although the date has not been fixed. So, let us go into the details of the India-Nepal relations. Let us first start with the foundational or historical aspect. Basically, when India got independence in 1947, there was a treaty signed between India and Nepal. That particular treaty, which makes the foundation of India-Nepal relations till day, that this particular treaty is called as the 1950 Treaty for Peace and Friendship, which it acts as a cornerstone of India-Nepal relations. So, what are the significance point of this treaty? Reciprocal rights. Basically, this particular treaty allows for the open border between India and Nepal, and rewards the Indian as well as the Nepali citizens with reciprocal rights in terms of residence, employment and property ownership in each other's countries. Then second is peace and friendship. Basically, this treaty holds the way for establishing peaceful and friendship ties between friendship relations between the two countries. Sovereignty respect. Third important component is sovereignty respect, in which there is a mutual recognition for each other's sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity of the two neighbors. Then this next is arms import clause. This is the probably most important as well as the most contentious clause between the treaty, which mandates Nepal to consult India before acquiring arms from any other countries, okay, any other third country. So, as per this treaty, when Nepal wants to buy any weapons from any third country, it is mandatory for Nepal to consult India. Nepal has been since last 1 decade, Nepal has been trying to renegotiate the treaty by removing this contentious point, but so far there has been no response to this proposal from the Indian side. Equal business treatment. Basically, businesses as well as the businessmen from both the countries will receive the national treatment in each other's territory. So, they are free to do the trade in each other's countries. So, this is the foundational framework, that is 1950s Treaty of Peace and Friendship between India and Nepal. Now, let us go into the political aspects or economic cooperation between the two countries. So, basically both India and Nepal are part of SAARC as well as BIMSTEC, and thus maintain the regular high level visits with of officials as well as the political dignitaries on each side. Second, it has been observed that there has been a periodic frictions, but diplomatic ties have remained resilient between the two countries. India is Nepal's largest trade partner, contributing to the 65% of Nepal total trade. So, 65% of Nepal's total trade is with India. It represents the overwhelming significance of India from the Nepal's economic perspective. More than 6 million Nepali citizens live and work in India. This is one of the largest source of remittance for the Nepali citizens. Then India is the leading investor in Nepal, accounting for the almost 35 to 40% of Nepal's total FDI is from India. Then more than 150 Indian companies operate in Nepal in sectors like manufacturing, banking, telecom, tourism and education. So, India has a multifarious or multi-sectoral presence in the Nepal. Energy cooperation. Now, let us go into the other aspect, that is energy security or energy cooperation. Nepal, owing to its hydropower potential, huge hydropower potential, generation potential, Nepal exports over 450 megawatt of electricity to India, obviously from the hydropower projects it has. Second, India has built several hydropower projects in Nepal such as Trishuli and Devighat. So, India has basically, in terms of hydropower project construction, India has always been a cooperative neighbor with the Nepal by constructing hydropower projects there as well as purchasing the electricity from those hydropower projects for India. Then when it comes to connectivity, infrastructure connectivity, Muzaffarpur as well as the Dhalkeber 400 kilowatt line, cross border electricity transmission line and cross border petroleum pipeline Motihari to Amlekganj are funded by the India. So, though both critical infrastructure aspects like electricity as well as the petroleum pipeline, both are being funded by the India. Then tripartite deal has been enabled Nepal to export electricity to Bangladesh via India. So, Nepal not only export its electricity to India, but also to the Bangladesh through India, through tripartite deal that has been taken place. Now, let us go into the water resources cooperation. Basically, there are more than 250 rivers that flow from Nepal into India. Thus, cooperation in the water management is one of the key areas of the cooperation between India and Nepal. There has been a 3-tier dialogue mechanism established in 2008 which facilitated discussions on water sharing and hydropower development. So, this is the institutional mechanism that has been placed, between India and Nepal. So, what is it? It is a 3-tier dialogue mechanism which discusses what are the areas of the water sharing and hydropower development between the two countries. Now, let us go into the cultural as well as the social linkages aspects of the India and Nepal. It has been there since the times of Ashoka the Great. India and Nepal share the strong cultural ties through religion, festivals, language and customs. So, when it comes to Buddhism, Lumbini, that was the birthplace of the Buddha, is there in the Nepal. Sites like Pashupatinath and Lumbini are important for Hindu and Buddhist pilgrims on both sides of the border. So, the Roti Beti bond basically there symbolizes the shared economic ties as well as the intermarriages. Basically, there have been a repeated instances of the marriages between the plain living communities on the both sides of the border. In fact, this was the cause of contention post 2015 adoption of the new constitution by the Nepal. Now, let us go into the defense cooperation. So, the first aspect of the defense cooperation lies with the fact that joint military exercise. So, basically India and Nepal, there is a joint military exercise which is called as the Surya Kiran. Then Indian military academies train Nepalese army personnel. So, India has a various military academies either in Pune or in Dehradun. The Nepalese army personnel are being trained by the India. Nepalese youth are recruited into the Gorkha regiments of the Indian army. Presently, this particular provision has been suspended since last 2-3 years because of the strain in the relations. At the same time, after COVID, Nepal government has done some notification and prevented or banned the Nepalese youth from joining the Gorkha regiments, and this ban is still there in the place since last 3 years. Infrastructure and connectivity. So, let us go into the infrastructure and connectivity aspects. India helps Nepal access the sea through transit facilities and inland waterways. Basically, India helps Nepal to access the sea, that is Bay of Bengal, through the transit facilities and inland waterways. There are several cross-border rail links that are present at or operational or planned. Example, Raxaul Kathmandu rail line from Bihar to Nepal. Then India is funding integrated check post and border at different places like Dodhara, Chandani. Also, there is one direct rail services is likely to be constructed in near future from Ayodhya to the Janakpur. So, these are the currently operational as well all planned aspects of the infrastructure connectivity between India and Nepal. Now, let us go into the digital and financial connectivity. The first and foremost that India and Nepal have agreed to enhance the digital payment systems in each other's countries. Indian travelers who are visiting the Nepal now can use mobile payment systems like UPI there. Also, this adoption of the UPI by the Nepal will result in the smooth transaction for traders, tourists or pilgrim students who are going there for pilgrimage. Also, it will help Nepali citizens who are seeking medical treatment in the India. Now, let us go into the disaster response. Basically, India was the first responder during the 2015 Nepal earthquake, providing rescue teams and supplies. So, India was the first country to respond to this tremendous earthquake that has occurred in the Nepal. So, India had pledged $1 billion in Nepal's post-earthquake reconstruction and undertook various projects there. So, both nations are working together through BIMSTEC for disaster preparedness. So, this is also the one other regional institutional mechanism that has been there for the disaster response and humanitarian aid. So, let us go into certain challenges of the India-Nepal relations. The first and foremost, as I have already mentioned, the 1950 treaty concerns, that is Treaty of Peace and Friendship between India and Nepal. Basically, this particular treaty, that is Treaty of Peace and Friendship, has been considered by some people in Nepal as unequal and imposing. Thus, despite granting open borders and job rights to Nepali citizens in India, as I have mentioned, the main bone of contention is that particular clause which mandates Nepal to consult India before purchasing arms from any third countries. Second is territorial disputes. There has been a long standing territorial dispute between India and Nepal with respect to the region in Kalapani, that is in Uttarakhand. Nepal few years back had decided to show this particular Kalapani area, which is actually the part of India, as a part of Nepal through its textbook, but later on those textbooks which shown this Kalapani as Nepali area have been withdrawn by the government. Then third is more significance is growing Chinese influence in the Nepal. Basically, China has been increasing its investment as well as the aid under Belt and Road Initiative, thus challenging the India's traditional role, significant role, and weakens Nepal's position as a buffer state. So, Nepal has been increasingly inclined towards China because China has invested heavily as well as provided tremendous aid to the Nepal, and that was the reason KP Sharma Oli, when he took over as a Prime Minister of Nepal, he decided to visit China first instead of India, despite having India as a close country. Now, let us go into the security challenges of this open border. Basically, the border between India and Nepal is not just open, it is porous, and it is hugely exploited for smuggling or terrorism or counterfeit currencies. Terrorism in the aspect that many terrorists, after conducting terrorist activities in India, they go to the Nepal and from there they can travel to Pakistan or some Middle Eastern countries to escape India. At the same time, Pakistan's ISI has used Nepal, this Kathmandu, as a route to enter the Pakistani terrorists into the India to carry out their nefarious activities. So, this is one of the significant challenges, that entering and passing out of the terrorist from Pakistan into the India via Nepal route. Then trust deficit and political sensitivities. Basically, it has been repeatedly said by the Nepali media that there is a delays in the Indian backed infrastructure projects, as well as there have been a perception among the Nepali citizen as well as the Nepali media that there is a political interference by the India. So, this creates a resentment as well as the lack of trust among the some groups in Nepal about India. So, let us go into the practice question of the day. With reference to the joint military exercise between India and Nepal, consider the following statements. Please solve this MCQ. Now, let us go into the next topic of the day, that is anti-pollution devices in the coal plants. So, what is the backdrop of this news? Basically, Ministry of Environment has issued some notification with respect to exemption of coal based thermal power plants from installing the flue gas desulfurization devices in, and 78% of the coal plants in India will not be necessary for those plants to add any anti-pollution devices. So, this particular topic is important from GS3, pollution as well as the environmental impact assessment, environmental conservation perspective. So, let us go into the details of the news. Basically, recently the Environment Ministry has issued a notification exempting 78% of the coal based thermal power plants from India installing flue gas desulfurization devices meant to curb sulfur dioxide emissions from thermal power plants, citing the studies that claim that current levels are within the safe limits. However, this particular notification or move by the Environment Ministry has been severely criticized by the environmental experts, citing that this could worsen already worse condition of the particulate matter 2.5 condition, pollution condition in India. So, What are the emission norms? Let's go into the basics of the news. What are the emission norms for the thermal power plants? Let's go into the history. In 2015, Environment Ministry introduced emission norms for sulfur dioxides and other pollutants from coal-based thermal power plants. This, so what was the what were the notification, or what was this emission norms? Basically, these thermal power plants were required to install flue gas desulfurization devices by December 2017 to control the sulfur dioxide emissions from the thermal power plants. So, this particular sulfur dioxide is a major contributor to the air pollution and particulate matter 2.5, leading to the severe health and environmental impact. So, basically, let us go into basics, that is flue gas. What is flue gas? Basically, this is the gaseous byproduct of burning fuel in various combustion processes like furnaces, boilers and fireplaces. And this particular flue gas consists of nitrogen, carbon dioxide, water vapor, and also contain harmful pollutants like sulfur dioxide or nitrogen oxides. So, this is kind of gaseous byproduct of the thermal power plant, that is flue gas. So, now as per this notification issued by the Environment Ministry, it has given certain exemptions. So, what are these exemptions? On July 11, 2025, Environment Ministry exempted 78% of India's thermal power plants of category C from installing the flue gas desulfurization systems. So, let us go into the various categories. What are the categories of these thermal power plants? So, basically category A, these are the plants located within 10 kilometer radius of the national capital regions or cities having million plus population, within 10 kilometer radius of cities with million plus population, and the deadline for their compliance was 2022. Now, let us go into the category B of the coal power plants. So, these plants are located within 10 kilometer radius of critically polluted areas or non-attainment cities. Deadline was 2023 earlier, and category C, remaining plants whose deadline was 2024. So, basically, as per the recent exemption issued notification guidelines, the plants in Delhi NCR, that is category A, must comply with this flue gas desulfurization devices by 2027. Then category B plants in polluted areas will be reviewed on case by case basis. So, these are the recent exemptions issued by the notification given by the ministry. Now, let us go into the basics as why this particular sulfur dioxide is a problem or harmful. Basically, this sulfur dioxide reacts with ammonia that is present in the air to form the ammonium sulfate, and this particular ammonium sulfate is responsible roughly for the 1/3 of the India's fine particulate matter, that is PM 2.5. 1/3 of India's PM 2.5 comes from this ammonium sulfate, for which precursor material is SO2, sulfur dioxide and ammonia. This particular PM 2.5 is linked to the various diseases like asthma, bronchitis, heart attacks and premature deaths among the Indian population. Also, this particular SO2 contributes to the acid rain, damaging the ecosystem. This particular question was there in prelims 2013 regarding the acid rain and SO2. In case of power sector, especially the coal based plants, SO2 is a major, coal based plants are the major emitters of the sulfur dioxide. As per the CREA study, there has been increased SO2 levels in 2023 near the coal heavy regions as compared to the 2019. So, what were the previous attempt by and delays by the Environment Ministry to impose the anti-pollution devices in for flue gas desulfurization? So, in 2015, Environment Ministry introduced emission norms to control the sulfur dioxide and other pollutants in coal based thermal plants. As per these notification or norms, emission norms, these thermal power plants were supposed to install flue gas desulfurization devices by December 2017, but that this particular deadline was extended multiple times because of the concerns raised by the industry over the high cost of installment of the FS flue gas desulfurization devices, impact in terms of power disruptions and increased electricity tariffs. Then in 2021, government revised norms and classified the 596 thermal power plant units into the 3 compliance categories that has been already discussed, A, B, C. So, what were the rationale or reasons given by the Ministry of Environment for the exemption of the 78% of the thermal power plants from installation of the flue gas desulfurization? The first is, government has cited 3 studies which are being conducted by, first by IIT Delhi, second by National Institute for Advanced Sciences, and third by NERI. So, what are these 3 studies suggesting? The first, that sulfur dioxide levels are within tolerable limits by the national ambient air quality standards in and around the thermal power plant areas. Second, flue gas desulfurization systems reduce SO2, but at the same time they are likely to cause increased level of CO2 and particulate pollution, resulting into the global warming again. Third, as per these studies, focus should shift to total particulate pollution, not just sulfur dioxide. So, all these studies are government commissioned, including the NERI, which was suggested by the or commissioned by the help of Niti Aayog. So, what are the criticism? These particular exemptions have been severely criticized by the environmental experts, citing following reasons. The first, experts and environmental groups have strongly opposed this exemption, especially the CREA, which argues that existing air quality monitoring stations don't track whether emissions drift upward, upwind or downwind, and they certainly don't account for the chemical reactions that convert SO2 into the other pollutants like PM 2.5. Second, in 2021, Center for Science and Environment, this famous NGO, has conducted certain studies which state that plumes from the thermal power stations travel long distances up to 300 kilometers, and during this time they get converted into the secondary pollutants. Second thing, this particular analysis also found that atmospheric lifetime of SO2 was just 10 days, thus reducing their presence. So, let us go into the practice question of the day. Which of the following are known impacts of the sulfur dioxide emissions? Please solve this MCQ. Now, let us go into the last topic of the day, that is soil of the nation. So, what is the context or backdrop? It is regarding the declining level of the soil health in India, relevance from syllabus GS3, issues related to the Indian agriculture. So, let us go into the detail of the news. India's basically, in this particular article, author highlights India's journey from 1950s, in which India was a food aid dependent country, to become world's largest rice exporter. So, here author says that from food dependence in 1960s to become the world's largest rice exporter reflects the India's remarkable progress in the food security. However, this success masks the deeper crisis that has been in the offing in India, that is declining soil health, which now threatens both agricultural sustainability as well as the nutritional outcome of the India. So, let us go into certain statistics related to the Indian agriculture, which can be utilized in the mains agriculture questions related answers. So, first, as per the author's information, India moved from shift to mouth food aid dependence under US PL 480 program in 1960s to become the world's largest rice exporter in financial year 2025, with export of 20.2 million tons of rice in the 61 million tons of the global market. So, almost 1/3 of the global market rice export is from India. Also, at the same time, India has been running massive food distribution program under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. It is the world's largest food distribution scheme, and it provides 5 kg of free rice or wheat per month per person to more than 800 million people in India. When it comes to surplus stock, basically Food Corporation of India godown hold 57 million tons of rice, highest in 20 years, nearly 4 times the buffer norm that has been required. So, as per the buffer norm, it should be 30.54 million tons on July 1 of any year. So, and what is the present status? For 57 million tons of rice there in the India's godowns. In terms of decline of poverty, author states that extreme poverty has dropped from 27% in 2011 to 5.3% as per the World Bank report few months ago. So, there has been a substantial decline in the extreme poverty in India. But in spite of those achievements, author highlights certain challenges that are still there in the India nutritional landscape. So, what are these challenges? In case of India, child malnutrition remains very high. For this, he cites National Family Health Survey 5 data, that is 35.5% children in India under 5 are stunted, 32% children are underweight, 19% children are wasted. So, first, wasting means low weight for height to children, stunting means low height for the age, and underweight means low weight for the age. So, please understand these concepts. Now, let us go into the main topic of the day. What is the correlation between the soil health and nutritional security? We know that India has been facing the malnutrition crisis in terms of stunting, wasting and underweight. Now, let us go into what are the correlation. What is the correlation between the soil health and nutritional security in case of India? So, food security in India has evolved beyond merely ensuring the caloric sufficiency, but it now must encompass the nutritional security of its population. So, this is one of the critical but often overlooked aspects of the food security in India. So, what is the necessity or significance of the soil health for the nutritional security in India? Basically, soil micronutrient deficiencies reduce both agricultural productivity as well as the nutritional quality of the crops. So, when there is a micronutrient deficiency in case of soil, it will lead to reduction in the agricultural productivity and reduction in the nutritional quality of the crop that has been produced. For this, author gives certain examples. For example, when there is a zinc deficiency in the soil, it leads to the low zinc in the cereals like wheat and rice. This contributes to the childhood stunting, which is there almost 35% in case of India. Thus, this particular childhood stunting reduces affects the physical growth of the children, cognitive development and long-term professional potential of the children. So, what is the status of Indian soils and fertilizer use? As per the findings from the soil health card scheme, more than 8.8 million soil samples have tested all over India. So, this particular data from this soil health card scheme reveals certain serious issues with respect to the soil health in India. The first is only 5% soils in India have sufficient or high level of nitrogen. So, in a way 95% of soils in India are deficient in nitrogen. Second, only 40% of soils in India have sufficient phosphate. So, this is again 60% of soils are deficient in the phosphate and 32% of soils have sufficient potash, that is kalium, means almost 60 to 70% of the soils in India are deficient in potash, and only 20% of soil in India have adequate soil organic carbon. So, what is this soil organic carbon? Let us go into that. Basically, soil organic carbon is a critical parameter for defining physical, chemical and biological properties of the soil. Okay, these govern its holding capacity and nutrient use efficiency of the soil. So, this particular soil organic carbon is responsible for governing or controlling the holding capacity, water holding capacity or nutrient use efficiency of the particular soil. So, what are the statistics with reference to soil organic carbon? As per the Indian Institute of Soil Science, it should be at least 0.5 to 0.75, but at the same time there is one another independent researcher, that is Ratan Lal. According to him, it should soil organic carbon should be at least 1.5 to 2% for the healthy soil condition. Now, let us go into the other soil nutrient deficiencies. Basically, Indian soils also face moderate to severe deficiencies of micronutrients like sulfur, iron, zinc and boron. And as per the author, certain soils, certain area soils in India are also likely to be in ICU status, which needs urgent soil restoration program or for sustainable nutrition in India. So, another aspect author highlights is with respect to the imbalanced fertilizer use in case of India. Now, here author highlights that excessive nitrogen use and underuse of the phosphorus and potassium in India has been observed. So, this is the particular trend of the imbalance of the fertilizer use in India. So, what are the certain statistics with reference to the India? In case of Punjab, nitrogen, there is a excess use of 61% and there is a reduced use or short of -8%, or in case of potassium it is just 90% minus 90%, means whatever the required level 90% less is used. Then in case of Telangana, nitrogen overuse is about 54% and in case of potassium and kalium, phosphate and kalium, potassium, it is almost 82% less. So, there has been a similar balance prevalent in other states also. Then the next point author highlights is regarding the inefficiencies of the granular area that has been currently in use under the huge subsidy regime. So, what the author suggests, that present urea that has been absorbed or used by the farmers, its only 35 to 40% nitrogen is absorbed by these particular crops. As per the economic survey of 2015-16, only 35% of urea goes to the intended beneficiaries, rest of them is either diverted for the industrial purposes or it goes to the mostly utilized by the large farmers on a large scale. And whatever the urea that has been used, only 35 to 40% of nitrogen is utilized. Remaining causes nitrogen, this excess nitrogen that has not been utilized by plants results into the nitrous oxide emissions, that is a greenhouse gas which is more than 273 times potent than CO2, and groundwater nitrate pollution resulting into the leaching into the groundwater, causing groundwater pollution in India. Also, there is one more serious observation that has been done by the author, that is fertilizer to grain response ratio has declined from 1:10 in 1970s to 1:2.7 in 2015. So, what is this particular fertilizer to grain response ratio, or it is basically the fertilizer use deficiency. It indicates how much additional grain yield will be produced for each unit of fertilizer applied. So, if we are applying suppose 1 gram of fertilizer, what will be the grain output in terms of grain output in grams for the 1 gram of fertilizer applied. So, it is basically efficiency, it measures the efficiency of the fertilizer that has been applied by the farmers, and this particular ratio has been consistent decline, means that in future crop will require more and more fertilizer to produce the same yield causing more damage to the ecosystem in soil as well as the groundwater pollution. So, let us go into certain basics, that are what are the key reasons for the India's soil health crisis. The first and foremost is unsustainable agricultural practices. So, what are these practices? First and foremost, overuse of the chemical fertilizers. As we have seen, in case of Punjab, more than 90% of excess use is in case of nitrogen fertilizer, pesticides and monocropping, that is wheat rice cultivation cycles in Punjab and Haryana caused nutrient imbalances and degraded the soil fertility on a large scale. Second is declining organic carbon or microbial life. So, because of the indiscriminate use of the fertilizer pesticides, the soil organic carbon has dropped from 1% to 0.3% in 70 years. We have already seen what is the significance of the soil organic carbon. In Punjab, only 6.9% of the soil has high organic carbon, falling further in 2024-25. So, in case of Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, we have consistently observed the practice of crop residue burning and excessive chemical use that will result in the reduction of the organic matter and thus disruption of the soil microbes. So, what is the soil erosion and desertification? Second cause is soil erosion and desertification. Basically, this is caused by deforestation, overgrazing of the animals, domestic animals, mining and poor water management practices, resulting into the soil erosion and land degradation. As per the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, basically, which has developed desertification and land degradation atlas of India, around 29.77% of India's land area is degraded. This data can be utilized in mains answer. Almost 30% of India's area land is degraded. Then next is poor irrigation practices. Basically, excessive groundwater extraction and practice of flood irrigation causes the salinity, waterlogging and soil alkalinity. This is particularly prevalent in the areas of Punjab and Haryana, and this excessive use of groundwater can be seen with the fact that agriculture in India accounts for 87% of the annual groundwater use. Then climate change impact. Basically, erratic monsoons, floods and rising temperatures have led to the increased erosion and carbon loss. Basically, we can see the recent Himachal floods have caused significant topsoil loss. Even their Chief Minister have mentioned this particular fact. Then industrial and urban pollution. Basically, industry's practice of dumping the heavy metals and untreated sewage leads to the toxic soil contamination. Many toxins are integrated into the soil, resulting into the degradation of the soil. For example, we can see the pollution of lead, arsenic, cadmium is common in the farmland, especially in the near the urban areas, farms near the urban areas. So, let us go into the measures that have been taken by the government of India to improve the soil health. So, the first and foremost is soil health card scheme that was launched in the 2015. So, this particular soil health cards contains the status of soil with respect to the 12 parameters, namely NPK, that is macronutrients, then micronutrients like zinc, ferrous, copper, manganese, boron, then also pH, acidity or basicity of the soil, then electrical conductivity of the soil and organic carbon. This is important. So, soil health card schemes goes into the all-round inspection of the soil for understanding its health. As per this article, more than 5 crore soil health cards have been distributed by February 2025. Next scheme that has been taken by the government is Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana. Basically, it focuses or promotes organic farming practices in India to improve the soil health. So, what are the practices that have been adopted under this Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana? First is promotion of the use of biofertilizer, use of vermicomposting, use of green manuring and other organic inputs to nourish the soil health in natural manner. Then use of nano urea. As we have seen, the present use of granular area causes soil erosion in terms of only 35% of nitrogen that has been utilized or picked by the soil. So, this particular nano urea, it is a nanotechnology based fertilizer designed to improve the soil health by providing nitrogen to the plants in more efficient manner than traditional urea. Then National Agroforestry Policy in India. Basically, this particular National Agroforestry Policy aims to enhance the soil health and promote the sustainable agriculture by integrating trees with crops and livestock on farmlands to improve the overall health of the soil by utilization of the residues from the crops as well as the livestock for improving the soil health. Now, let us go into next, neem coated urea. Basically, this neem coated urea has been introduced by government in around 2016-17. This particular urea is coated with the neem oil, and what is the purpose of this neem oil? It slows down the release of nitrogen, thus improving the efficiency utilization of the urea. As of now, we have seen only 35% of urea which farmers apply has been actually uptaken by the crops. So, to increase this particular nitrogen uptake, neem coated urea has been introduced, and it reduces the nitrogen loss, thus discourages, at the same time it discourages diversion to the non-farm or non-agriculture uses like smuggling for industrial uses. Now, at the same time, the recent collaboration between the Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations (ICRIER) as well as the OCP NutriCorps collaboration. This aims to develop, implement and scale the region specific data driven soil nutrition solutions that will result in the enhanced crop productivity while improving the nutritional profile of the soil. So, these are the steps taken by government, Niti Aayog or other institutions, agriculture institutions of India to enhance the soil health in India. Now, let us go into the conclusion. Improving the soil health is no longer just an agricultural priority, but a public health imperative, as the soil health directly impact the nutritional security of the Indian population. So, a comprehensive science based and farmer friendly approach is key to ensuring the sustainable food systems resulting into the healthy nation of India. So, let us go into the practice question of the day. Declining soil health poses a threat to the both agriculture productivity and nutritional security in India. Analyze the key causes and suggest measures to restore the soil health. Please write the answer of this question. This is all for the day. Thank you.